I know.
Thank you. Did you ever think about
That's
unfortunate?
you're telling me. We had the Subway Series that we had a shot at. What's up?
Waiting for some play by
The crowd is dwindled.
I'll ask the first question.
Typical.
So you coached several years, a few years with Brandon Staley. We all saw what happened the other night. Do you give him a call? Do you kind of compare notes about what it's like? Maybe pick up a tip or two about facing the Raiders?
I mean, you try to always keep up your relationships throughout the league whenever you can. But he's obviously very busy and doing a great job over there, as are we. And so everybody's got a plan for themselves in this league.
You came into the year talking about producing with takeaways and sacks. With where your pass rush is at right now, what has, I guess, satisfied you and impressed you about the way you guys have been able to turn rush into production?
Yeah, I mean, I think the production is what's satisfying, and it's good to see those guys working together. I think they're collaborating. They're buying into what we're trying to teach them in terms of rush and coverage. It's a function of both. Sacks come as a function of both. I've said that from the beginning, and we believe in that. And so those guys are winning their one-on-ones when they get their opportunities, and then we just try to keep moving that hat around and try to share the wealth a little bit as much as we can.
I think Joey Bosa, after the Monday night game, said something about Derek Carr not handling pressure well. The stats show that he's actually pretty good at it. How have you seen him handle a pass rush?
Derek Carr?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's playing at the highest level I've seen him play. He handles it really well, and you see that in a lot of games this year. I mean, he can throw the rock, he can avoid, he scrambles to pass, and he's got his eyes up the field, and they've got targets that they can hit at all levels of the field, and he can make all those throws. So I don't see any issue with him handling any rush.
With Renfro in particular, what does Renfro do to help him out in this situation?
Oh, I mean, you see that the trust that they have. They know where each other are going to be, and they know where their eyes are going to be. They know the routes that they're going to run, and Renfro does a great job winning leverages. And he's building a nice career doing that.
And Sean, when you watch Darren Waller, you watch him play, what are some of the reasons why he has become just such a dominant player the last couple of years?
I think he plays with an aggressive mindset. He attacks the ball when he's catching it. He's got a good catch radius, and he's got good speed, and he's got length. So I mean, those are all traits that you want in a tight end, and the system and the routes, the way they're teaching him there, is showing up. And so he's playing with a lot of confidence, and you can see the quarterback has a lot of confidence and trust in him as well. So he's certainly a challenge.
They also have a deep threat in Ruggs. They have a good running game, Josh Jacobs. What's the most difficult thing preparing for a team that isn't one-dimensional, that can hurt you in a variety of different ways?
I think you just answered the question. The difficulty is you're preparing for everything, and so you got to be really good at everything, because this team is built. The Raiders I'm talking about is built to attack everything. They can attack your edges in the run game. They can hit you downhill. Jacobs is a physical downhill runner, and you guys saw it on tape every week this year, where they're going to get their pass explosives. And there's going to be points in the time where they're just going to tell Ruggs to run to the green grass, and Derek's going to throw it to the green grass, and he's going to go catch it. And they take a lot of shots with 89 on the outside too. So to answer your question, the difficulty in preparing for everything is that they do everything, and so that's what we got to be good at.
You say Derek Carr is playing at the highest level that you've seen him play. What is he doing now better than maybe what he used to do? What is it that you're seeing from him?
So I just played him back a few years ago, and I think it's probably just a growth and comfortability in the system. I think it looks as if him and Coach Gruden are on the same page. Coach Olson, that the offense runs through him. He's able to control a lot the line of scrimmage. He's able to make his adjustments and attack defenses the way he sees fit, and he's got the arm talent and the mindset to go do that. And so he's playing with that confidence.
The sack Khalil had the other day, obviously DHC was a big part of that. What did you see in his contribution to that play, and obviously a willingness to take on that?
DHC?
Yeah.
Well, like I've told you guys, this is a collective mindset. So there was an opportunity for him, if they set a different way on that same play, that he could have gotten a sack. So it's we're all working as one. This is 11 as one, the rush is 4 as one, 5 as one, and we're all trying to work as one. So everybody understands their roles within the techniques and the fundamentals that we teach, and everybody's expected to execute those at the highest level when they're given that task.
What does that require from Khalil in terms of just the timing and the ability to use that as effectively as he did?
Savviness, I guess. I mean, it requires a good player to understand the same thing. He understands what the defense was trying to do, and you're able to go out and execute it. And so you use the techniques and the fundamentals, and obviously his savviness adds a layer for us, a nice layer for us, where he can make it work as well.
When you lose a team after one play, how do you adjust on the fly, your rotations and all?
Yeah, we have those plans as we talk about in-house during the week. We're try to be prepared for as many scenarios as you can be prepared for. It's unfortunate. Obviously, he's a highly impactful player for us on our defense. But that's part of football. Guys get hurt, and we've seen it through this first 4 weeks at various levels of our defense. And not just our defense. I'm sure defenses and offenses around the league. But that's part of the game. And so you got to respond, and whoever's up, like I told you guys, they still expected to execute the defense at the level that we want it to be executed at. And they did. The guys stepped up.
Are you curious to try and get all 11 of your starters on the field at the same time at some point this season?
Yeah, that's always a goal. But that's an uncontrollable thing. So we try not to worry about the things that we can't control. We just try to control what we can control and go out there and put our best product and our best foot forward each week.
It had been a long time since Eddie Goldman had played in a game. How do you feel that he stepped in and played?
Yeah, great. Like you said, it's I feel great that he was able to step in and play, and he showed some production, and then he'll continue to get better. He'll continue to get better, and that's the great thing about a guy like him.
Sean, you guys lead the NFL in sacks. Is that something that the guys in the pass rush talk a lot about? Is that like a motivating factor? Like, we want to stay up there? Is it something that you have been mentioned in meetings?
It's been talked about. I mean, a lot of it obviously comes from you guys. You keep putting it out there, which is fine. They've earned it. The guys have earned that right to celebrate that. But like I told you guys after week 1 and week 2, it's only week 4. And we got a lot of games left, and we still want to ascend in how our trajectory is going and the quality of defense that we're playing. And so that's the biggest point of emphasis in meetings, is to continue to grow.
What has Duke Shelley given you since you put him in there in week 2?
Duke's competitive and tough, and so you see that on tape. He makes some physical plays, is tackling, and he's getting better too. He's trying to compete on his one-on-ones and winning to his leverage side, which is a big point of emphasis in his defense for the nickel.
Sean, on Quinn's strip sack, for you, what was the most impressive part of his rush?
Oh, I mean, really every phase of it. I mean, his get off the ball, where he was able to turn the corner, run the hoop, and then finish. I mean, that's what you want. Pretty much on all the sacks, you're always hoping for a sack fumble, and so he was able to execute it. And you see his explosiveness off the ball.
Sean, with Quinn, there's so much of your job that's analytics and scheming and strategy and all that, but on a human level, did you get the sense when you got together with him in the summer that he was in a better place? Because he's talked about this mentally, that he felt better. Were you able to see a different guy than who he'd been around last year?
Yeah, and I think we've said that, that his relationship, his own mental space has been better. Our mental space has been better. Coach Shuey's doing an outstanding job with him, coaching him up, and Robert's doing an outstanding job accepting the roles that we're asking him to accept in his defense. And so when everybody's on the same page and there's clarity in everybody's tasks, I think people can start pulling in the same direction.
Coach, forgive me if you've already been asked this, I'm sorry, but if Trevathan is healthy, is he starting?
I think I answered that last week. So those decisions are made on a game-to-game basis on performance and where we think our defense best fits, because you guys see we got a lot of players playing on defense, and so what does starting mean? You play the first snap and you're out the second. So those kind of things will be decided on a game-to-game basis.
How do you feel like Ogletree is done stepping in for Danny? How do you feel like Alec Ogletree is done stepping in?
I think he's done outstanding. He shows why he's been a successful player in this league. He's a leader. He's got a lot of veteran savviness, and he understands the defense, and he's a starting caliber player.
Sean, with this being another game against the Raiders, the team that drafted Khalil, and him essentially being shut out the last meeting a couple years ago, is that something that comes up at all this week when you guys talk?
Not for me.
Do you think it's
This is 2021, and we've got a new defense, and I mean, we try not to live in the past.
Sorry if you've been asked, but where is Trevathan in his return? I mean, how close is he to playing and what?
I mean, he's out there
Is that gonna
practicing
be?
with us.
I'm sorry?
That's nice. He's out there practicing with us, so that's nice. In terms of the logistics of getting him back up and all that, that's beyond my scope.
But is he not playing, is he healthy enough to play a game, I guess is it?
With that, you know, we continue to evaluate that, you know, because we started his clocks, we felt that he was healthy enough to come back and start practicing with us. You know, so that's what you need to do when a guy comes off that. And so now we just evaluate that every day.
Just had one question about Goldman. You know, the stat sheet rarely, if ever, does him justice, and it didn't last week, obviously. But when you grade him, what is there any way that you guys quantify what he did or how he did, or what can you give us as far as something that just, like I said, quantifies what he?
Can't give you our grade sheet.
But I mean, is there some facet of it, like?
Yeah, you know, we have impact plays, where guys impact plays that they may not be the primary on, of what everybody else sees as the stat sheets. You know, so for a prime example of that would be DeAndre Houston Carson on Khalil Mack's sack. That was an impact play that he made, and he set up that sack. So there are plays that we account for our guys, all of our guys, at all levels of the defense in that way. Could be a sack that somebody else made, and because you took away the quarterback's first read because the corner was in tight coverage, that's an assisted sack from our perspective.
But in your sheet, Goldman just generally graded out well in this game, right? Is it?
He did good enough for us to win the game.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. All right, thank you.
That's gonna be in the midway. You got Bill being here.
Like right away? Bill, how are you? Obviously, Matt has talked about the internal discussions and the amount of people that were sort of involved in turning Justin loose to this role. What was your input in terms of gauging his readiness to take this role on full-time and what you've seen in him?
Well, as far as the internal discussions, I would just say just constant evaluation. And I'm sure from the outside, it looks like things come to a head, but that's kind of what we do all the time, is just talk about the evaluations.
Stress the word growth with Justin, as you've watched him through the regular season portion of things. Where have you seen the biggest growth in him?
Oh, the biggest, it's hard to say. I thought there was a very good jump in production at practice. You know, I guess I'm a little bit old school. I like to believe what I see. And so from the first start to the second start, and as we keep going, it just keeps getting better. And I just believe that what you see happen on the practice field is going to translate. You know, it's not always 100%, but I think the trends that you see on the practice field are what you can believe in.
Bill, particularly with Justin Fields' running ability,
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong person because the mask's on. No,
particularly with Justin Fields' running ability, how do you, what's the balance for you between what you envision him to be as a quarterback and that having been part of his success to this point?
Well, I probably don't spend as much time as maybe some would think of envisioning the big picture. You know, not that we don't take into account all that he can be in the long term, but really we're way more in depth with how about this week? How are we going to play this week? Do we think part of the running is going to be a big part of it or not? And we've had some times, if you go through the preseason, where he has more or less. Some of it has been designed, and some of it has been unscripted, which is part of the NFL. And so it sounded like your question was more big picture, and really right now we're trying to win this game. And so I think we did what we had to do last week. We did our best to decide what we thought it was going to take to win that game, and that's kind of where we go next.
That question could apply in terms of short-term with this game or with the season itself. I mean, is there some of it that you want to coach out of him and some of it that you want to embrace and embolden in him, or where do you find the line in this?
I don't think of any coaching out of him. I think there will I would imagine, I'm not gonna predict, I will imagine there'll always be some QB run involved in some degree. Some weeks it might be 2 plays, some weeks it might be 8, whatever it is. Designed QB runs will be part of the game, and then there will always be some unscripted, for whatever reason, it was time to go, part of his game. Could be designed rollouts, where he has run-pass options, or it could be that the pocket broke down. So, but to say you're coaching it out of him, I think is wrong. I think as he gets experience, he's gonna decide, split second, I'm hanging in here for this one because I know this play and I think it's about to come open, I can anticipate it, or, you know what, I don't like how it looks, I feel like I can go and get it. And that's his whole career, he'll be balancing those things. But he's not unique to that. They all have to, right? And the only thing that he's, I don't want to say unique, but on a certain end of the spectrum with is how productive he can be when he does go. So he'll just always have to deal with that, which I'm sure he did in the past.
How much do you take his,
How cognizant have you found the defense to be with his legs?
Oh, every defense will take a little different approach. Every defense. So when you watch, you know, the Raiders, you know, you watch the teams they've played and what approach have they taken with quarterbacks who can't run. You can go back to their coordinator's history. I've coached against them before. What approach has he taken with quarterbacks that can run? It's not like there's only one way for him to do it. There've been a couple different things that have shown up, and so you just try to make your best prediction. And some defenses are going to try to hem them in by either blitzing off the edge or keeping the defensive ends high up the field. Others are going to use secondary players or linebackers who line deep off the ball when the ends chase, then to wrap over the top for them. And they're going to be a bunch of different plans. So it'll when you have a guy who can be that productive, sometimes you'll never really know till game day. Then once you see it, you know, say, okay, this is how they're going to do it, and then you just have to have good answers.
Target volume's down for Allen Robinson this season. I understand you only had 17 pass attempts last week, but is that something you envision changing or picking up in the weeks ahead?
Getting the ball to the best players, and how many times we have when we go down when we do the game plan, lay it out. Multiple times we stop and just evaluate. Best case scenario, who do we think the ball's going to? Which you can at least say who's number one in the pass game. You can't always guarantee it's going there, right? But you can say who are we kind of designing it for? We just evaluate and we keep our balance kind of where we think it should be. That doesn't guarantee those plays are going to get called in the game in that order, right? You don't call them all. So that's always part of it. But winning is number one. The who gets the ball is way down the list. And I'm not going to say no, that everyone should just ignore it because it's obviously natural. And guys want to compete. And guys who know they're good players want to have the ball in their hands because they think they can help us win. And you want that. They're competitive. But it's just, you know, if you keep winning number one, then that's got to be way down the list. And that's just how it goes. And I mean, you started your question with the asterisk of how many balls we've been completing, not many, or attempting. And so when you throw 50 in a game, there'll be more targets. And the way, I think everyone's happy we won this last game. We chose the way that we thought we could win this game, and we did that. So now we got to figure it out for the next one.
so when you meet with him and try to go through what he's most comfortable with, Justin Fields I'm talking about, does he want to do more than you guys, quote unquote, allow him to do? Like, is he aggressive in those meetings?
I guess it probably doesn't paint a clear picture of the meetings. It's more talking, it's not about more, hey, coach, how many throws am I going to get? You know, it's not like that. It's more, okay, we've spent all week talking about their defense and the ways we want to attack it, and it's very much specific. As I go through these lists of plays, I feel great about how this has looked in practice. I like how this receiver runs this route. You know what, this hasn't really quite come up, so maybe it's on a Thursday like today, or even after practice on Wednesday, and we watch the film. The feedback could be as informal as, hey, Bill, if we get another rep at that in practice, you know, I might feel better about it. Or if we get another rep at that in practice, can we do it against their man coverage? I mean, it could be real informal. It's not like a big, everyone sit down, get your pens out. Justin's going to tell us what he likes, you know, or it's more constant throughout the week. There are times when we sit down and talk about specific areas. And I think for a rookie, he's impressed in how open he's willing to be. Sometimes young players aren't open, like they don't want to, sometimes young players don't want to tell you they don't like something because they might feel defensive, as if, oh, the coaches are going to think I can't get it. Justin's very open, and he'll say what he does and doesn't like. And then what we have to ask is for him to say, okay, this play hasn't looked good on the field yet. Let's come back to it next week and try, because we think it fits our players or something, you know. And so he says, yeah, let's give me some more looks at it. So he's been very open. So I think that's been good. He really isn't. I don't know how much you know Justin. He really doesn't get defensive. He's willing to be coached, and I think the quarterback room that we have right now has helped that, because you got some really good people in the room. They don't have to put guards up against each other. You know, Coach DiFilippo, I think, fosters that, but I think it speaks to the character of the people in the room, right? Obviously today you'd have to say Andy's character, because Andy's in a position where, you know, he can handle a lot of different ways, and the character of the people in the room have made it such that they can, hey, we all know all throughout the year what situations we go through. There's no secrets, and so just lay it all out there and be honest and help each other. That's what we're doing. So,
Bill, Matt mentioned yesterday that with some of those deep shots you guys were taking and completing, that he admitted he was on the headset saying, hey, keep doing it, keep it rolling. Just curious how you felt like that communication went throughout the game with him and you calling the plays, and then in general, just how you always handle that balance between, obviously the head coach is always going to give input, but you have the autonomy, or what your autonomy is to call the plays.
I give all the credit to Matt, how he handled the week, really. Everything from the private communication, the private conversations he and I had, to the way he laid out for the staff and then for the team, you know, the vision of how he wanted it to go forward. I mean, that's where it started. And so I thought that was the key to the week, was Matt's vision of how he wanted everything to go, everything from what he wanted what he thought the game plan should be, to how he wanted to handle game day. And so our communication was in depth all week, honest. I mean, we've been around each other enough now that we're both handle situations in an adult manner. In other words, just say it, you know, don't keep it inside. Just let's just be open and talk through tough, sensitive areas, and really know the areas. So it was an easy week, and then we just kind of continued it on game day. When he has opinions, he gets 51% today, Coach. It's easy. It's not hard for me if you know who's in charge, and it's easy.
He also says how much he loves your cool, calm, collected demeanor in the headset. You take pride in that kind of thing?
I think of myself, you know. A long time ago, I had a coach I worked for who was a veteran coach. I'd say of all the people I ever worked with or for, he was the offensive coordinator, but his name was Don Bro. And he had coached at University of Texas for Darrell Royal. And Don would get excited. Of all the people that I'd coached with, and I've coached with some excellent coaches, all great human beings. And a lot of them, at the time I coached for them, were older, I guess, just the way it worked. You know, Coach Gibbs and his whole staff had come out of retirement. Coach Bro was the offensive coordinator. He told us he was very excitable. Don was. on game day, whatever. So he told the story, he was at the university, I think he was with George for Darrell Royal, I think. I probably should have looked it up before I tell the story to make sure I'm right. But he's on game day, the play happened, and he was yelling on the headset. The coach said, Don, he said, Coach, you know, it should have been interference, or whatever he was yelling at, he was yelling. And Don said he was old. He still is. He said, Don, do you know that we put a man on the moon? He said, I got quiet. I said, yeah, Coach. He said, Don, you know, when he was talking back to Houston, he was talking just about like I'm talking to you. He had a hell of a lot more on the line than a football. That was a good lesson. Now, Don told the story. He's the one that needed it. Now I know why. All right, thanks.
Something?
Yeah, if he comes in here, you're gonna get it, good. Man, must be important if Jody had walked in. Yeah, came in here with.
So Jakeem, what was your reaction when you got traded?
Man, honestly, I was just like ready, fresh start, new opportunities, and just coming in ready to roll.
Were you surprised?
A little bit. It took me by surprise. I mean, coming off the year I had last year, I was thinking of no uncertainty that I would have a bigger role increase, and you know, I was one of their key guys. But you know, it's the business of the game, man. So I mean, not mad at them, not anything. Just ready to go.
When something like that happens, does that focus you? I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. But
Yeah.
does that focus you in any sense?
I mean, like I said, it's the business. I've seen guys come and go. Didn't think I was going to be going, but I mean, hey, it is what it is, and I'm ready to roll. That's behind me now, and I'm ready to do whatever I can do to help out, you know, the Bears.
Is it hard for you at all when you spent, I think, 6 years there? I mean, that's all you've known to this point.
I mean, yeah, it's been, I would say, just adapting to not only the weather, but like I've been down there, and that's just been like from Texas, that's been like a second home to me. So just coming out here and just adapting, just the whole living situation that's the only big difference.
When you rolled out of here after the joint practices, did you realize you'd made such a good impression on something?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to the special team coach, you know, and I talked to a lot of guys around here, and they said they loved me. So it kind of, like red flag went up, and I was like, okay, it could be a potential coming back here. So.
Team obviously coming off a second-team All-Pro season to get dealt this early, the Dolphins felt something was different. Have you felt anything's been different early this season? Has anything been hampering you or bothering you at all?
No, not at all. I just, you know, it's just opportunities. That's what it all comes down to for me. And I felt like I wasn't getting the opportunities, and the trade. I mean, to me, I look at it as another opportunity, more opportunities for me to get out there, especially on the offensive side.
What'd you know about Chicago before coming here?
Honestly, nothing. Besides Devin Hester, you know. So, and just knowing that he left a absolutely great mark here and being a great returner, so I know I have some big shoes to fill up.
Jakeem, what's this week like for you? What do you need to do to be able to play right away?
Man, hit the playbook hard. I mean, it's like I said, been in Miami for 6 years, is the whole terminology is totally different than here. So, man, every morning, every night, I mean, through in between meetings, like if I wasn't in here right now, I'll be looking in the playbook. So, man, just basically getting the terminology down so I can get ready to roll.
Is it easier to jump in on returns? I mean, can you learn that playbook in a week?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because it's basically run right, run left, or run in the middle. So it's pretty black and white. But the offense side is definitely totally different because it's things that a lot of motions and shifts and things that terms that you really have to take memorization.
Jakeem, what kind of a niche do you see yourself filling on offense?
More in the slot. Moved around like a chess piece, and getting mismatch on guys. Get mismatch on linebackers. Any nickel and star or whatever. Honestly, whatever the coaches want to put me at, and to get me rolling, in, I'm fine with.
And watching you in practice and watching you in the game, the preseason game here against the Bears, you played with a lot of confidence, a lot of swagger, you talk a lot. Was there anybody, when you got back here, that you kind of had to smooth some stuff out with, that you was chirping at during the week? Or
No, not at all. They was just like, it was all about, me trying to kill them, then not knowing that you were going to end up right back here. And so some of the guys that, on the punt returns that, they was like, yeah, you back now. And so it was like, now we don't have to chase you. All we got to do is block for you. So, man, it was they welcomed me with open arms, and that's one thing that I can say I really appreciate.
Not a ton of football players get traded mid-season. I know it's happening more now, but it's still, compared to other sports, not so much. What is just the practical matter of you moving your life in the middle of a game week? Like, are you going to live out of a hotel up here forever? Or do you have to close out anything in Miami? How's that work?
Not really. My lease was coming to an end in Miami. So I just moved up here, just to grab, a few things. I still have things there. Definitely not thinking about living out of the hotel for, the whole time I'm here. But right now, my main focus is, to learn the ins and outs of the offense and get rolling on that aspect and get familiarized with the facility, because this facility is huge.
Is that like a bye week situation then?
Definitely. It would have to be that. But even then, I'm still diving into the playbook so I can get more plays on the offense.
Jakeem, do you have any old friends here or guys that you've had relationships with before?
Oh, yeah, definitely. People call him 8-Ball here, but Damian Williams, like one of my close friends from Miami, and also off the field. And also Marquise Goodwin. We grew up in Texas. He went to Rowlett. I went to Mesquite Horn. And so I told him this earlier, but he's the whole reason why I even ran track. So that's my guy, man. So I always looked up to him, and it's kind of great to be on the same team with him.
Can you catch him in a 40?
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
You played in Las Vegas twice over the past 2 years. What'd you take away from that stadium? Chris Tabor said you might kind of pick your brain a little bit because you actually have experience there. What'd you kind of take away?
For one, it's a nice stadium. Fast grass. Lights could definitely be an issue. Very bright lights. It's closed indoors, so it's loud. So communication is definitely going to be a big key. Other than that, man, football is football. So every stadium has their niches and stuff. But we go out there and execute the game plan, and we're going to be great.
Thanks a lot.
tell you? What were they gonna tell you?
It's okay.
Questions?
Joey Bosa said after the Monday night game that Derek Carr wasn't good under pressure. What do you, first of all, is any quarterback ever good under pressure? And number two, how have you seen him handle it on film?
Well, like you said, I mean, if you consistently get pressure on a quarterback, I don't think they like that. I mean, when you got someone in your face, you know, basically trying to get you to the ground and you got to make an accurate pass, any quarterback can get frustrated. So, I mean, I guess you can say that, really say that about any quarterback. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear a lot.
How have you seen Carr in film? How have you seen him react when pressured?
Well, you know, he's a little feisty, you know, trying to make plays, get the ball downfield. You know, he's always looking to make a throw. So, I mean, but, you know, each and every week is something different. You know, what we see on film may not be what we get in the game. So, at the end of the day, I guess keep it simple. Get to the quarterback. We should rattle him consistently. And if not,
Robert, collectively, you guys have been putting more quarterbacks on the ground this year than you were a year ago. What do you attribute the defensive-wide spike in pass rush production to?
I think just the group just really gelled together. Guys bought in. You know, now I guess, you know, guys are just tired of always talking about it. You know, I mean, you know, it's a simple saying. You know, we got to walk the walk. So, I mean, after a while, talking only can do so much. So I think finally guys are, you know, just playing up to their standards, you know, not being okay with being dominant. You know, that, you know, I think guys, again, should just have our standards set at a different level. I just think it's starting to show. And we always got to say, you know, we may get the sacks, but if we don't got time to get there. So I always like to say thank you to the DBs and everyone who's covering, buying us time.
What kind of things did you see on film from what the Chargers did to the Raiders offense? And can you draw any kind of similarities to their defense to your defense in terms of how you can attack them?
Well, I mean, defense is really about flying around. You know, like we said earlier, you know, the D-line was getting after Carr. We saw the back seven running, hitting, you know, doing everything possible, making it uncomfortable. And that's pretty much the simple philosophy of defense. I mean, you know, disrupt the pass game, stop the run, and swarm to the ball. And that's pretty much simple defense philosophy. You know, you got 11 hats to the ball on the run. You probably won't take it hard. You got guys locked down and the pass rushing like they're supposed to. Well, you probably won't get the ball off either. So again, it's just a simple defensive philosophy.
Right, playing across from Khalil kind of gives you an opportunity to be freed up, get some one-on-ones. With your production so far this season, you kind of anticipate some of that attention kind of shifting over, and now maybe you start to free some things up for him on the other side?
You the OC, what would you do?
Right.
I mean, of course, 52. Everyone knows know what he brings to the game. You know, and I'm just out here trying to do my part. Get as much production as I can to help the team win. And of course, again, I'm pretty sure my numbers may be okay, but I think they're still a little concerned about what we're doing on the other side. So who knows? Maybe I'll keep one-on-ones and get the double teams and triple teams still, but we'll see.
Robert, Khalil is the kind of guy to go walking around telling us what motivates him. But do you imagine playing the Raiders probably has fueled him a little bit this week?
I mean, I won't say it's extra fuel. I mean, it's just one of those things about being in this business of NFL. You know, you get drafted somewhere. I mean, like we all expect to be there forever. Then reality sits in. So it's just more. I mean, it's more of just probably just a pride thing. You know, just a. I mean, I don't know who would ever trade him, but you know. Hey, you know, again, it's just one of those things, you know, again, you get drafted someplace, especially first round, you think you're going to be there forever, but it's just the name of the game.
Do you remember when you found out that he got traded?
I mean, yeah, I heard, 3 first-round picks, that's all I really remember, so I guess I was pretty good.
Remember what you thought at the time, I guess was my question.
What?
What did you think at the time? Do you remember?
They really wanted him. You giving up 3 first-round picks, you must really want somebody, so, I mean, for him to come in and, I guess take face of the team, just shows you the caliber of player, but also person he is, Khalil is, so, I mean, yeah, I can talk about him, how good of a person he is or great of a player. I mean, we can sit here and talk all day, but I mean, I think you just watch him, the way he, practices, carries himself, is just who he is, I guess that great standard of greatness, just how he carries himself.
Robert, it's the other side of the ball, but what's your reaction to Justin being given the green light to be the starting quarterback going forward?
What's my green light? Well, shit, put up points. I mean, I don't have nothing to do with it. I mean, him, Andy, Nick, whoever, their job just to put up points. I mean, he's our quarterback, so let's go. And again, I keep points off the board. Make the job easy for him.
Thank you.